I don't know what the start of that was anyway, but everybody, I appreciate you guys checking out the channel. Tobin here with you. It's an NFL game week as we speak here. We are, 24 hours and change from getting this NFL season underway. A beautiful thing. And, of course, Miami Dolphins got a juicy one coming up this week against the Los Angeles Chargers. Little rematch from last year, a big-time matchup where you have two teams about the same Super Bowl odds, but I think everybody kind of looks at them not as one of the favorites around there. But if you want to talk about teams that probably could really win it and are frisky and aren't the obvious, favorites that everybody's going with, I think that's probably the tier betting wise that you're looking at. The Chargers and the Dolphins, both that going into this week. Speaking of betting, the Miami Dolphins go into this game as a 3-point dog. So as they say, that is basically an even look in the eyes of Vegas when you have a team going in there with the standard home field 3-point advantage. Although, we don't think of LA as a huge home field advantage. It bit the Dolphins in the ass last year on prime time. And Tua was, of course, asked a lot. Tua had his media session today. And a lot of dwelling on, Tua, your first game back, from doing all this. And I kind of thought it was almost, I get the storyline of it because he is, it is his first regular season game since the nightmare on Christmas Eve. But he has been out there taking he has already been. I feel like the bigger part of it was, hey, did he get real hits in the preseason? He did, and got some real live game action. So this idea is Tua going to have any real weird feelings? Is he going to have any, extra butterflies going into this? I kind of feel like no. And I kind of have the impression from Tua is no, I don't have any of that. Because we've kind of already been there, done that. We've done that with the preseason, the live bullets that they had going on in that game. And we did see Tua unveil some of his jiu-jitsu skills and his new methods of falling and seeing his training methods and all of that type of stuff. So while I appreciate, the media trying to make something of something there, I didn't feel like this was that deep of a story. I honestly think that, as cool as it is that Tua is going to be out there, and I'm sure that's going to be a big thing in the national broadcast. I'm sure that, which by the way, Kevin Harlan is back, dude. Yes. Love Kevin Harlan. While I'm sure that's going to be a big story, I'm sure it's going to be something we're going to be talking about on Game Day Uncensored in some form or fashion. I don't find it to be that big of a story that Tua is coming back. I feel like he's put the work in on it. I feel like we've seen him take live hits. And to be honest with you, the biggest thing out of all of this to me is just, God, this is a damn good football game with two teams with real high aspirations. And yes, to be honest with you, the most juicy part of this game is the thing it's always when it's Justin Herbert and Tua Tagovailoa, in that it's Tua versus Justin Herbert. And, they're always going to say that Tua said the thing today, which is of course, the thing you're going to say when you're Tua, and how do you take the Justin Herbert comparisons? Always going to be he said what I think you'd expect him to say.
No, Justin is a totally different player than me. Justin can throw the deep balls as far as anyone in this league. There's things that Justin does that I look at and oh my gosh, I'm. Sometimes you can't help but fan over those plays. But we're just different in our styles and who we are as football players. Got tremendous amount of respect for him. And yeah, it's him going against our defense and, our offense going against their defense.
Wrong, Tua. It is you versus Justin Herbert, dude. I'm sorry I don't make the rules. It is not you. It is not Dolphins versus Chargers. It is always, when this matchup comes down, and probably will be until you guys both retire, hopefully with successful NFL careers, it will always be Tua Tagovailoa versus Justin Herbert, and that's just the way it is. I don't make the rules, dude. It just, quarterback v. quarterback is a thing. It is an important thing. It's a fun thing. It is what makes look, be honest with yourselves. What are the things you look forward to when you are watching NFL football week in and week out. Maybe you are some of these nerds on Pro Football Focus who like to go watch the trenches and see what's going on there. But most of us, when we're tuning into a game, we're like, who's quarterback in that game? What do we got here? You know, remember the year where it was just like everybody's getting knocked out? What a lousy NFL year that was. The starting quarterback, it's the biggest needle mover on betting lines. It's the biggest needle mover on ratings. Of course it is Tua versus Justin Herbert. Of course it is a thing. And that's, you want to know something? Fans, that's okay. Because every Dolphin fan will be honest with themselves. If Justin Herbert were to go have a generational year and somehow lift the Los Angeles Chargers to multiple Super Bowls, and he was right there for the Dolphins taking, of course the Dolphin fan is always going to have the what if. It is hell, think about this, Dolphin fans. How many years have you thought to yourself, what if the Dolphins doctors would have passed Drew Brees over Dante Culpepper? We're talking about that all the time. It's a what if that always gets thrown up there. It gets brought up with Drew Brees all the time. It's just one of those things that's always going to be a thing. And again, I say this, that's okay. Because you want to know the thing that's cool about this, which actually has turned out to be the better part of this? It appears the crazy thing about this is normally in a quarterback class, there's usually a stud, maybe a stud and a half, 2 studs. This appears to be a really, really awesome quarterback class that it turned out maybe all these teams basically won out, except for the Patriots with Mac Jones. Although, was that a year later? That was a year later. I apologize. It turns out that it's okay. This has turned out to be a pretty awesome quarterback class with Burrow and Justin Herbert and his real piss whistle of an arm, and Tua Tagovailoa with his sick-ass accuracy all over the place, and Jalen Hurts taking his team to damn, two of these guys have been to the damn Super Bowl already. So, yeah, just like I think Tua versus Jalen Hurts is always going to be an interesting storyline because they're linked from Alabama. The only guy, and I really, right now, out of those guys, the only guy who's kind of Teflon out of all of it is Burrow because he was the number 1 pick. He kind of lived up to it so far with getting to a Super Bowl in his second year. So I'm fine with that being the case. There are just some things as a fan you can't run from. And Justin Herbert versus Tua is one of them. And every time that they match up, Tua, Justin Herbert. And by the way, I'm happy the way that it went. Tua was the guy that I wanted the Dolphins to draft. Remember making a music video the day it came out. We talked about tank for Tua for years on on sports radio. That guy was just such a sensation. Boom, right off of the bat, people were talking about what Tua was going to be. It's just that Tua has dealt with a lot more adversity than Justin Herbert has because Justin Herbert is the prototype. He is tall. He does have a huge arm. He honestly came into a situation with weapons that were pretty fortified for him. Has seemingly had some boob coaches himself, though, I will say. He's already been through, this is his second head coach. The first one, Anthony Lynn, didn't go great for him. Then you have this old Brandon Staley who, gave up the playoffs. Then they gave up a huge lead last year. Tua, his adversity happened to be coach was rats off a ship on him immediately and needed to have this whole thing going into it with Mike McDaniel building him up and whatnot. But I will say, I don't find, and I think this is a good thing for me going into this year with Tua, I don't find myself looking at this whole thing of, people have been so concerned with the concussions and all that. And yeah, I think the thing is with Tua, he's very honest. He does put it out there. He even said today, he was asked about his goals, and just adorable Tua is just immediately somebody was asking him, well, what about your goals? And he keeps it to himself. Somebody goes, would you like it if one of your goals was to play all the games? And Tua's like, would I like it? I would love it.
Right on your list, maybe to play 17 games. That's one of my things that I would like to do.
Oh, I wouldn't like to. I would love to do that. Oh my gosh, I would love to do that.
Who doesn't love this guy, man? Who doesn't would love that if that was the case. And to the port of Justin Herbert, it's you don't really have to look at him, tall, strapping man. Don't have to really worry about it. What martial arts is he taking? You guys think you're cute with him, and you headband and whatnot with his luscious long hair. I get you. Good for you. But I just love that about it. And I think one of the things that makes Tua, on top of it, it does buy him some points. I think a lot of people, God, he just is a genuinely good dude and has handled, for all the controversy that surrounds him. That's why I was kind of like a little down on the reporters today who were like trying to make it and mold it and make this kind of all dark coming back story from Tua. I'm just kind of like, can the guy he's prepped. He's done his preparation in a monster way. He has obviously bulked up, much to the chagrin of Ryan Clark. Why does this have to be some crazy, the monster comeback? Tua's done the work. He's put in the work. He's given you his vulnerability that he thought about stepping away last year. Cool. All that's been over. There's stories from the summer. There's stories from the spring. This should just shape up as a damn good football game and a damn good quarterback matchup between two guys who happen to be taking a pick apart from each other. And both fan bases are crazed with wanting their franchises to go deep and do things and make things happen. And, you think about all the heartbreak that the Chargers have been through with as talented as their rosters have been back in the day. And, them just chargering and Phillip Rivers being Phillip Rivers and all that type of stuff. And of course, the Dolphins are going on nearly a quarter of a century without a damn playoff victory. So, man, I mean, both of these franchises are dying for these QBs to work out and nail it. And maybe they both will. But make no mistake about it. They can, polish it up with niceties, and Tua can say, I'm actually a fan of Justin Herbert. That's what I love about Tua. But as a fan base, if you don't think this is Tua versus Justin Herbert, you are nuts. Of course it is, dude, and that's okay.